Welcome back, fellow word nerds. This compilation video combines all my dad joke shorts from the month of June and marks the first half of 2025 coming to a close. Not much left to say here, except please enjoy the show and stick around for my closing thoughts at the end. Yesterday was the last of May, but it's not the last of me. Do you know what this means? It's another double pun day Sunday. What do you call an airplane with no decorations or branding? An airplane. I'm sorry, but this joke seriously doesn't fly. Somebody call the Wright brothers. That was just wrong. Next dad joke, please. I installed a bar on my roof the other day. Drinks are on the house. Okay, that one's slightly better, but just barely. I'm tapped out for now. See you tomorrow for more daily dad jokes. Why didn't the actor who played the Tin Man want to make a Wizard of Oz sequel? He was feeling rusty. Let me ask you a question. Did you know, because I sure didn't before I looked it up, that Buddy Ebsen, who was originally cast to play the Tin Man in 1939, got seriously ill from the aluminum dust in his makeup, and so he had to drop out of the project, but then later went on to play Jed Clampett in the old TV show Beverly Hillbillies. Talk about striking oil. Jack Haley, who is most famous for both the Tin Man and Farmhand Hickory in the beginning of the movie, actually passed away 45 years ago, June 6, 1979. For those who love him and his character, he continues to live on in our hearts. Would you believe today also happens to be the birthday of Gilbert Baker, creator of the Rainbow Pride flag? Now that's a friend of Dorothy if I ever saw one. A giraffe and an ostrich had a 100-meter race. It was neck and neck right to the end. Fun fact, an adult giraffe can run about 56 kilometers per hour, whereas an ostrich can run about 70 kilometers per hour at top speed. So in a real race, it wouldn't be a stretch to say the ostrich would likely leave the giraffe in the dust. Unless the giraffe did something like this. Oof, talk about kicking things off. Even if ostriches are technically faster, giraffes can still look down on them. I do like me a good animal racing joke. Those tend to get a lot of mileage. In high school, I had a teacher who loved to give quizzes all the time. I think he was just testy. Honestly, it's not just teachers who can get testy these days. Doctors, scientists, engineers, computer programmers, even game designers get testy. Isn't it ironic that it's so important to test things to see whether or not they work? But the word testy describes somebody who's irritated, impatient, or ill-tempered. Maybe folks would rather be giving the test than being tested on? Might require further examination. What did the priest do at the carnival? He got faith paint. Do you think this means that the priest was painting other people's faiths? Or that he got his own faith painted? Either way, I'm just imagining a little kid walking up to a priest and saying, "I want my faith painted." And in reply, the priest says, "Oh, bless your sweet soul." I'd love to get my face painted, but I'm nervous about paint getting in my eye. I don't want to be colorblind, you know? Hey Dad, I think we should get satellite radio. You can't be serious. Well, doggone it. It may be the brightest star in the sky, but not the funniest joke in the calendar. I'd give it a stern talking to if I could, but how would that help? I'll just vibe to some music instead. People say I'm a pessimist, but I was born this way. My blood type is B negative. As an optimist, I used to think I had B positive blood, but that logic sucks. I don't actually know what my own type is, aside from bright and punny, of course. All I know is if you're out to donate blood and your text name is Dr. Acula, run. Where did Noah keep his bees? In the archives. Now, funny thing is, if he only needs 2 of each insect, what does Noah need an entire hive for? Was it 2 bees or not 2 bees? That is the question. I just realized both dad jokes this weekend are bee-related. Talk about a pun-believable coincidence. I tried to come up with a joke about measuring distance. This was as close as I could get. I'm sorry, this joke just doesn't go the distance. I usually go to great lengths to come up with other jokes, but today it's no small feat. Though I do know the longest word in the English language. Can you guess what it is? Smiles, because there's a mile in between two S's. I had to go the extra mile for that one. Doctor, I swallowed a spoon and need to get it out. Alright, just sit down and don't stir. Now that's what I'd call a scoop. Wish I knew what kind of spoon he swallowed. One of those teeny free sample size spoons? A teaspoon? A tablespoon? A soup spoon? Wood, metal, or plastic? Well, whatever it is, hopefully the doc gets a handle on the situation before it's too ladle. I saw a bird eating avocado toast the other day. It was a millennial falcon. Oh yeah, time for some more animal pun facts. And this is gonna be extra fun because I'm a huge bird nerd as well as a word nerd. After some light research, I learned that most wild kestrels, falcons, and hierofalcons only live to about 11 or 15 years, and the longest lived one in captivity was a peregrine falcon that died at 25 years old. Unclear which year that was. So sadly, there aren't too many millennial falcons left, but for sure plenty of Gen Z and Gen Alpha falcons. No cap. You'll never see a falcon eating avocado, but there's a South American species apparently called the aplomado falcon, so close enough, I guess? I pray that whatever you're passionate about, it's at least as interesting as birds and words are to me. A husband tried to keep his wife happy through labor by telling jokes, but she didn't laugh once. It was the delivery. Please tell me this doesn't actually happen. Are soon-to-be fathers out there actually trying to make the mother of their children laugh while they're giving birth? Looks like it's time for another PSA. Punny surprise advice, that is. Don't get me wrong, I do appreciate the double meaning in this dad joke. However, delivering a baby is no laughing matter. Dudes, don't be deluded like this dumbass of a dad, unless you want to get dumped like a dirty diaper. You want a laughing wife? Wait until after her delivery's done before going right into your comedy set. Plus, after the birth, your audience is that much bigger. What do you call a fear of giants? Fee-fi phobia. It's time for another round of pun facts because there are very real words for very real phobias of very large things. Trigger warning, I'm going to be discussing these phobias, so if you have any of them, feel free to skip this video. It's not a big deal for me. First, there's megalophobia for people who are terrified of hugeness in general. Think tall buildings and structures like skyscrapers, stadiums, and monuments. Giant animals like moose, whales, and elephants. Immense natural features like trees, oceans, mountains. You get the idea. Then there's gigantossophobia, which is specifically for people who irrationally fear taller people. There's even the fear of giant words, ironically called hippopotamonstrosesquipedaliophobia. Also, today happens to be the one and only Friday the 13th of 2025. So if you happen to know anybody with triskaidekaphobia or paraskevidekatriophobia, be sure to check in on them. I've learned fears can become a lot smaller when they're faced with friends. It's a special Father's Day edition of Double Pun Day Sunday. Let's see what today's pair of jokes are. It annoys me when people say age is only a number. Age is clearly a word. Actually, H is a letter? Figured that was an age-appropriate joke. Technically, all numbers are also words. That's kind of how language works. But what fascinates me are the words with numbers in them. If you're attentive, you can find one or two for sure. What is the medical diagnosis for someone who owns too many dogs? Roverdose. I heard one of the symptoms are you see spots everywhere. According to a lab report, best recommended treatment is to take a few walks every day. I've got a serious bone to pick with this calendar if it's gonna keep ignoring holidays like this. They seriously dropped the ball. My boss said I was fired, then then he sprayed me with a fire extinguisher. So does this person still have a job, or should I be alarmed? Spraying somebody with a fire extinguisher unless they're actually on fire? Not cool. Now I could understand if the boss had said the guy's work or his department was on fire. It at least sounds like a good thing, but mean that the place is literally ablaze. Just goes to show why clear communication is key. By the way, is it getting hot outside or is it just me? Kids, I'm going to be a lifeguard at the beach this summer. Oh, that's cool, Dad. Actually, it's pretty hot at the beach. I can see where the joke was going, but whether it got there, I'm not so sure. Today's dad joke was so weak it actually needs first aid. Now, not to go off on a tangent, but do you know how to save a bad joke from getting burnt? Apply plenty of pun screen. Do you know what a baby computer calls its father? Data. What's funny about this joke is it kinda crashes when you pronounce data like Patrick Stewart referring to his favorite android officer. Kid probably gets it from his motherboard. Wonder if that would be considered a bug or a feature of the dad joke. On a different note, and speaking of bugs, I learned today is Sir Paul McCartney's 83rd birthday. He and the other Beatles created Apple Corps back in 1963, not to be confused with Apple Inc., founded 13 years later. Funny enough, Macca actually uses a Mac nowadays. Happy birthday, Paul, and anybody else who said hello world on June 18th as well. I'm Buzz Aldrin, the second person to walk on the moon. Kneel before me. Apologies for the terrible Buzz Aldrin impression. Fun fact, not only is he the second person to walk on the moon, Buzz Aldrin is the last surviving crew member of Apollo 11. I wonder if he'd like to go back someday, or if he's over the moon. Then again, nobody's actually been to the moon since 1972. Guess it was just a phase. Speaking of Buzz, apparently back in 2008, a Buzz Lightyear toy actually got to go to space and spend 15 months in the International Space Station. Talk about to infinity and beyond! Once again, apologies for the bad impression. What do you call a dog that's underwater? A subwoofer. Before today, I didn't think dogs could swim underwater. But upon further research, I learned there are some breeds that are quite well equipped to do more than just the doggy paddle. Great way to stay cool in the dog days of summer. Quick pun fact, the babies of some aquatic animals like otters, seals, and sharks are also called pups. There's even a species of shark called the dogfish. Talk about a salty dog. Double pun day Sunday, you get two for the price of pun. Someone keeps sending me celery anonymously. I'm being stalked. Why won't this stalker just leave him alone? Does he have any dirt on the guy, or is he trying to cultivate some kind of weird crunchy conspiracy? Sounds like a raw deal. Hope the guy at least has a juicer around, because it's a lot to process. I started a band called Blanket. We're a cover band. I wonder if any of the instruments are electric, or if their sound is a bit more cozy. Actually, an electric blanket does sound pretty cozy. It'd be awesome if any of the band members can read sheet music. That's all you get for now, so have a puntastic weekend. Dad, can you help me out? Sure, which way did you come in? I can't figure out what to say to that. Can you guys help me out with this? How did I get into this mess? What did the single tree say to the tree who stood her up? You should have put a ring on it. Okay. In case you didn't know, trees have natural rings on the inside. You would think they'd be sycamore. For real. Guess it's one of those great mysteries. Gonna go out on a limb and say this dad joke isn't very popular. Next time you see a bull charging, all you need to do to stop it is take away its credit card. I'd also take the phone and computer power cables away too, just in case. It's probable that you've heard one of those variants before. Also, maybe keep the bull away from Albania, China, Hong Kong, Turkey, Tunisia, and toxic relationships. Way too many red flags. Why couldn't the lifeguard rescue the drowning hippie? He was too far out, man. Dude, like, major bummer. I don't know if I'd be worse off as the lifeguard or the hippie in this scenario. Probably the hippie, because, like, drowning is the opposite of going with the flow. Talk about chasing the wrong kind of reefer. On the other hand, if I was the lifeguard, I'd be in over my head. That's pretty deep, dude. You know what's weird? You don't really hear that many jokes about hippies anymore. I guess they aren't too current. Where does seaweed look for a job? In the kelp wanted ads. What skills does seaweed even have? It's good at catching shrimp. It understands sarcasm. Probably good at algebra? I suppose if seaweed did get a job, they'd be paid in sand dollars, possibly clams. You know, I don't really think of seaweed holding down a job. It drifts far too often to be tied down. Double pun day Sunday, you get 2 for the price of pun. Some people think my dad jokes are childish, which is crazy. They are obviously full grown. You want to know something kind of funny? If you take away the space and punctuation, I'm mature becomes immature. It can be hard to tell the difference between a childish joke and a dad joke, but to me, the difference is apparent. Why was Pavlov's hair so soft? Because he conditioned it. Reminds me of a story I heard when I was young, where Pavlov's dog teams up with Schrodinger's cat and they go on adventures. It definitely rings a bell, but I can't remember if the cat dies or not. That's all you get for now, so have a puntastic weekend. Dad, I'm sad that it's Monday. Me too. On the bright side, 2 days ago was a Saturday. Well, how unusually appropriate. A Monday joke that's actually on a Monday? What a concept! Sure, it's a small thing to get excited about, but I like finding the bright side of things wherever and whenever possible, even in the mundane. The reason I'm extra surprised is, well, this calendar's typical sense of comedic timing is pretty weak. But today, we're ending the month strong. Speaking of which, if somebody had told me when this year started that 6 months would fly by as fast as it did, I would say, July! Half the calendar is done and punned, another half starts tomorrow. How fitting then that this second half should start on a Tuesday. Phew, what a crazy collection that was. With June officially behind me, 6 full months have been done and punned. It's punbelievable that what started this big punny project in the first place was a friend's secret Santa gift. This daily practice of finding and sharing joy and meaning in the silly and absurd has been nothing short of punderful, and I hope you continue joining me on my quest to finish the rest of this calendar. At this point, I'm pretty confident that you love what I do. Would you still be watching me if you didn't? All that said, if you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe for more, wait for it, bright ideas. Until next time, see you later.